COVID-19 update, funeral after mosque fire, fatal gun violence. Good morning. The time is 5:57. It is Saturday, January 22nd, and this is Courtney Conroy bringing you your WCCN hourly news update, Chicago's most reliable news source. This hour's message is brought to you by our sponsors at www.mp3.com. On the Health Beat, the head of emergencies at the World Health Organization said Tuesday that the worst of the coronavirus pandemic, deaths, hospitalizations, and lockdowns could be over this year if huge inequities in vaccinations and medicines are addressed quickly. Dr. Michael Ryan, speaking during a panel discussion, said we may never end the virus because such pandemic viruses end up becoming part of the ecosystem. Elsewhere in Norway, Anders Breivik, the far-right fanatic who killed 77 people in massacres in Norway in 2011, appeared at a parole hearing Tuesday, seemingly more focused on spreading white supremacist propaganda than gaining an improbable early release from prison. A decade ago, the Norwegian mass killer was sentenced to 21 years in prison for a bombing in Oslo and an armed rampage in the island of Utøya. And a devastating story. The caskets were all brought one by one, all 15 of them, on a frigid winter day as hundreds of mourners filled a Bronx mosque Sunday to bid farewell to those who died exactly a week ago trying to escape their smoke-filled apartment building. Many hundreds more huddled outside, peering into the mosque's windows or watching on a big-screen television to pay their respect to the New York City's deadliest fire in 3 decades. News in the Capitol. Facing stark criticism from civil rights leaders, senators returned to Capitol Hill under intense pressure to change their rules and break a Republican filibuster that has hopelessly stalled voting legislation. The Senate is to launch debate Tuesday on the voting bill, with attention focused intently on 2 pivotal Democrats, Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who were singled out with a barrage of criticism. On a serious note, 5 people were killed and 33 others wounded in shootings in Chicago over the weekend through Tuesday morning. The period was significantly more deadly than last weekend, when 9 people were wounded and no one else was killed. It was the first weekend in months in Chicago without a homicide. Most of the violence this weekend was concentrated on the west and south sides. More news in the Windy City. Chicago's restaurants will no longer give customers single-use foodware unless specifically requested. That means customers who want plastic utensils, condiments, or even a sleeve for a cup will need to ask for them. The ordinance went into effect on Tuesday, and the measure was introduced by the 39th Alderman, Samantha Nugent. It's designed to reduce plastic waste. Your WCCN Hourly News Update will continue with sports and weather after a brief message from our sponsors. Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm a podcastaholic. It all started with the MP3 player my darling wife gave me for Christmas last year. First, it was a podcast about fishing. Yeah, fairly harmless, you would think. Then I branched out into technology, sports, marketing, do-it-yourself projects, and a podcast of grammar of all things. My palate for this stuff is so acute, and I'm learning so much. Get your MP3 player this holiday season by logging on to www.mp3.com. In the world of sports, Chicago sports broadcaster Lise Grobstein died at age 69. Grobstein's career covering Chicago sports spanned 50 years, most recently serving a weekend overnight host on 670 The Score, where the Grobler developed a loyal following. He was found dead at his home in Elk Grove Village Sunday. In the NFL, the Patriots got annihilated by the Raiders in a far match from 47-17. The Bengals continue their winning streak after defeating the Raiders 26-19. Now for your local WCCN Hourly News forecast. Today we're looking at partially sunny skies with a high of 30 degrees. Expect the same weather tomorrow. Kicking off the week with some clouds, be sure to wear a coat and scarf this week because the lows will be under 10 degrees. Get outside on Friday as it will be the warmest at 32. Before we wrap things up, remember to test negative, stay positive, and wear a mask. That concludes today's WCCN Hourly News Update, brought to you by our sponsors at www.mp3.com. The time is now 6:01, and this is Courtney Conroy signing off and wishing you a safe and spectacular evening.